According to Standard Chartered Bank, as many firms are transferring investment from China to ASEAN countries with the aim of taking advantage of TPP, up to 44% of those surveyed said they would choose Vietnam as the market's domestic consumption is big. 29% chose Vietnam because of low production costs and 18% selected Vietnam for abundant labor resources. In addition, the entry into the ASEAN Economic Community (AEC) and RCEP, the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership between the 10 member states of ASEAN and the 6 states which ASEAN has existing FTAs including Australia, China, India, Japan, South Korea and New Zealand, brings many opportunities to Vietnam in attracting foreign investment, particularly in some areas such as industrial production and real estate markets. Many experts said that in the coming time, Vietnam real estate market will make great progress thanks to the combination of a stable economy along with the favorable changes in the policy and the potential of development.
Greetings to all the viewers of Sharing Vietnam on VTC 10 Net channel. The establishment of Asian Economic Community has made an impact on Vietnam's economy and politics, including the real estate sector. Today we have a talk with Ms. Sigrid Zialcita, Managing Director Research of Cushman Wakefield in Pacific Asia, to know more about the opportunities for Vietnam's real estate market with the impact of AEC. Thank you for being with us today, Ms. Sigrid.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me, and it's great to be here.
What can you say about the advantages that AEC can bring to Vietnam's and other regional countries' real estate sector, particularly Vietnam's real estate sector?
Well, AEC got finalized at the end of last year, and so far the impact has not been as much yet. But it will be an exciting time for the region, I think, especially for Vietnam. If you look at AEC as a whole, the population is about 600 million. I mean, that's quite an astounding number. So that means that theoretically that you will have, like each country will have access to everyone in the region and be able to trade, invest, and that's essentially the concept of having the AEC. So for Vietnam, this will be an exciting time because right now it's sort of like at the cusp of, I would say, accelerating growth. For the last 2 years, the country has been sort of recovering from ramp up in credit, right? And so the government had to address that. But this time around, I think that the country is in better position, and with AEC being formed, that there are a lot of good things in store for Vietnam. And from an economic standpoint, we do expect the country to be the manufacturing hub for Southeast Asia, the whole ASEAN region. If you look at the numbers, I think Vietnam is probably the most competitive today.
After some time of joining AEC and other FTAs, what is your comment on the real estate market in Vietnam?
Right now, it's sort of like a mixed bag, right? You have, there's a dichotomy between residential and also the commercial. I think on the residential, there is a lot more that is being supplied and being absorbed, right, by the market, but it's not bad. The reason being is this. As I mentioned, I think the country is ready for it's entering a new period of better economic growth. And I think the imbalance that you're seeing today in the residential market will get sorted out. Why? Again, you'll have more jobs and so on and so forth. And what is happening is that on the commercial side, if you've got a good economy, right, good policies, I think the government is putting out there very supportive policies, that more pro-business policies, and everything and all the policies are quite good. We think the commercial side will benefit from it.
What segment of Vietnam's real estate sector has the most positive improvement when it is said that the industrial segment would have more advantages for development?
Absolutely. Vietnam is positioning itself as the industrial or manufacturing hub, right, for I would say ASEAN community, but even for Asia Pacific, I would put Vietnam as now like the center of manufacturing. It has done that quite well, successfully. And so that being said, as we see the barriers come down, like with the AEC formation, TPP, it's again, you'll have 12 countries, you'll be able to trade much more freely. And that is actually very important, just because, again, it's a lot easier to be importing from Vietnam today, and it won't cost as much, right? And so that being said, we see more upside on the industrial side. We think that on next 15 years, we can expect at least 310,000 jobs being generated on a per annum basis. It's quite a lot. Now, if you translate that into industrial space, it's I would say we would need about 100,000 acres, of industrial space. That's a lot of space over the next 15 years.
As reported by the Ho Chi Minh City Real Estate Association, with over 1,200 projects and over 315,000 apartments, currently Ho Chi Minh City still leads the nation in the pace of development of the property market and foreign investment attraction. March 2016, investment funds Great Growth signed an MOU with Anja to implement a real estate project worth $500 million. Recently, an American investment fund, Global Emerging Market (GEM), has recently pledged to pour $20 million into Hoàng Quân Real Estate Company. Next, a series of investment funds such as Vina Capital committed to pouring capital into the projects that have the potential for development in Vietnam.
Từ các cái đồng bào Việt Nam mình tại Mỹ, trên 2 triệu người Việt Nam có nhu cầu rất là lớn. Tôi tin chắc là những năm nay và những năm sắp tới là cái lượng ngoại tệ ở Mỹ sẽ đầu tư vào cái kênh bất động sản tại Việt Nam rất là lớn.
In the domestic market, the end of the first quarter and the second quarter of 2016 is the time when companies held shareholders meeting and announced a capital increase. Hoàng Quân Real Estate Company is a good example when they announced to increase charter capital up to 6,000 billion VND through the issuance of shares and increase up to 6% of foreign investment to attract more capital in the residential segment. Khang Dien Group also reported the rate of foreign investment has been fallen 49%. Of this, 21% owned by Vina Capital, approximately $26 million. Dragon Capital, 16%, $20 million, and some other foreign funds, 12%. Many experts forecast joining AEC and many international free trade agreements shows that the property market in the period 2016-2018 will continue to grow with good liquidity.
Việc thị trường bất động sản năm nay sẽ phát triển mạnh hơn năm 2015, đó là một điều chắc chắn. Và tiếp tục với cái nhu cầu hiện nay, với sự năng động của nền kinh tế này, sự phát triển của nền kinh tế này, rồi với cái nỗ lực hiện nay của các doanh nghiệp, tôi tin là thị trường bất động sản Việt Nam cũng sẽ phát triển một cách ổn định và đến năm 2017 và đến những năm sau.
Circular 36 of the State Bank of Vietnam is in the draft process, and the government is also listening to businesses' opinions. So according to that, credit will be tightened for the real estate sector. Can the tightened credit in Vietnam lead to many foreign investment in the sector?
That is a tough question. It has to be seen. Right now, this regulation is really meant to make sure that there is no over lending that happens, right? And you don't want to have a repeat of what has happened in the past. And that's the reason why I have that measure, right? In terms of foreign ownership, the relaxation of the rules definitely, I think, is a positive thing. It's a step in the right direction. Have we seen any immediate impact? Not yet. I think this is something that will unravel over time. But I do think, Vietnam has been quite good compared to the rest of the ASEAN community, just looking at the foreign ownership rule. I mean, I think Vietnam is at the forefront. Philippines is not there yet. Indonesia is also a little bit more, quite challenging to own a piece of property over there as a foreigner. So I think the relaxation is certainly a positive thing that could draw more investors. I think we're seeing a lot of interest from foreign investors. Whether or not that would translate into more acquisition or even like injection of capital into, let's say, properties is something that we have to see.
So what can Vietnam's real estate business do to improve their positions and attract more foreign investment?
A couple of things I'd say. The first one is transparency. This has always been an important factor for a lot of investors across the world, I think. And you want foreign investments to come in, you just gotta make sure that there's transparency, accountability, so they know and understand what's happening and where their investments are going, right? And then also, I think just working through some of the complexity right now on the legal side, the taxation, I think that would really help if there would be more clarity on that.
So in your opinion, to make the real estate market more attractive, what changes to the policy that the government in AEC should make?
For AEC, I think right now, there's so many countries, right? And I see the challenge that we have is like, we gotta align every country in terms of policies. But if we can get all the countries to sort of like come up with a framework, at least for real estate, that would be easier for anyone within the ASEAN community to be acquiring property. I think it would really be beneficial if there would be a policy, sort of like a guide, a framework that people can use.
What is your prediction on the changes in the real estate sector in the coming time?
As I mentioned a while ago, I think this is the time for the ASEAN community. Okay, Southeast Asia, this is its period, at least in Asia Pacific. You look at Vietnam, Philippines, these are the two countries leading the ASEAN region. Indonesia is also doing well, Thailand, Malaysia. Okay, so if you look at, these are just the main countries, you've got the frontier countries. The ASEAN region will be leading the growth for Asia Pacific, along with India. And I think for real estate, like for Vietnam, I think there are a ton of opportunities for local developers, consumers, the whole gamut of commercial. I think there are a ton of opportunities, and this is the time that you should do it. Not real estate is undersupplied today, on the commercial side at least, and I think Vietnam, to be competitive, you gotta have very good quality commercial space to be able to compete among the among its ASEAN peers.
Thank you, Ms. Sigrid, for your time.
Thank you very much for having me this evening.
This is the end of our show. Thank you for watching. Goodbye and see you again.